What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Unplugged and Uncut, the new source for sports news and entertainment. And today we're going to get into the Spurs mid-season outlook. But before we get started and get into the Spurs, if you have not taken the time to hit that subscribe button, make sure you do. We will be giving away a PlayStation 5 and the game of your choice at 100,000 subs, not to mention all the other great prizes we got along the way as we make this journey and start to grow. We want you guys to have fun and win all types of great prizes. So make sure you're subscribed, leaving comments, and that's how we're gonna pick them, just from random comments. But you do gotta be subscribed. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into today's subject, the San Antonio Spurs and their midseason outlook. Now, as we get closer to the All-Star game, Dejounte Murray continues his All-Star level of play. He might not make the All-Star team, but he has definitely played at an All-Star level. I mean, the man is almost averaging a triple-double with 2 steals per game. Interesting thing about this, though, let's say Dejounte Murray does not make the All-Star game. What happens to Dejounte Murray after the All-Star break? All right, because the fans got to either vote you in or the coaches got to put you in. How is he going to respond to that? Is he going to soak from not making the game and not play at the level he's been playing? Or is he going to go harder? That's something to look out for, guys, as we get into after the All-Star break. I'm going to be paying attention to Dejounte Murray if he does not make the All-Star team. I think there's a slight chance that he does make the team because he's just playing at a ridiculous level. And I think coaches around the league are noticing this. Players are noticing it and fans are noticing it as well. So he might sneak up in there. But honestly, the West is just loaded with guards. And if he doesn't make it, it's no slight to him. There's a lot of guards in the West that are just beasts. But that's going to be an interesting situation to follow. How does he respond to that? Does that make you hungry and want to go harder? Or are you going to soak and feel like, man, what I'm doing ain't paying off? We'll be watching that. So let's watch together, guys, and see how Dejounte Murray responds. The next thing we got as the Spurs slightly past the midseason is, will Coach Pop set the all-time wins record this year? Now, I think the answer to that is yes, easily, but maybe not by as much as we think. The Spurs are getting healthy and have shown that they can beat good teams, but they're just inconsistent right now, and they have lost some really tough games that they're in, and then in the fourth quarter, like Philadelphia just blew the doors off them boys. And it's okay because they're a young team, and they're learning on the fly, man. These guys are really good. There's a lot of great talent over there between Murray, Keldon Johnson, and Devin Vassell. Even the youngsters like Primo, Porto's good. So the Spurs got some good players. Derek White, for you Derek White fans, he's going to be in the rumors coming up. Just a breaker. But yeah, the Spurs got good players. They're just really young, most of them, and they're learning how to win. And when they were doing good, they got hit by Dejounte Murray being taken out the lineup for the COVID, which has really affected everybody. So no excuses for the Spurs. Just got to play better and continue to learn and grow. But that gets me into the GM. That's right, Brian Wright. Is he just an armchair GM? Does this man have a plan? I mean, since he's taken over and under his watch, the Spurs have just been pretty bad. Let's just outright and call it what it is. I know we Spurs fans, and we used to a certain level of excellence. We had Ginobili, Duncan, Parker. I mean, before that, Dave, Shine, the Ninja, Willie Anderson. I mean, it goes on. Iceman, George Gervin. So we used to a level of excellency here. We're not used to Spurs teams just being horrible for multiple years. I mean, that's just not something we're accustomed to. And that made me look at the GM, Brian Wright. Does this man have a plan? Does he know what he's doing? I mean, let's look at San Antonio. It is a large city, top 10 in population, 6 to 8 range. It fluctuates. And it's still considered a small market, and they're a small market team. However, the Spurs are one of the biggest NBA teams internationally. And you got to learn how to play to that. You got to play to your strengths. See, the Spurs are like no other when it comes to being abroad and in other countries because of their legion, the foreign legion that they used to put out there. They had people from across the globe just killing it. Ginobili, Parker. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. In fact, players that we drafted made other teams better. Leandro Barbosa, Luis Scola. These are all players that were drafted by the Spurs. You gotta have that neck and that eye. Get back to that. What made the Spurs good, finding talent from across the globe. They didn't care if you lived in Argentina. They don't care if you from Brazil. Patty Mills just getting buckets. They would find talent. So I think the Spurs gotta play to their strengths, what they're good at. Find talent wherever you can find it. And give the fans something to cheer about and look forward to. I mean, get us an all-star. If you got to gut some of your young talent to get an all-star player that's young, Ben Simmons, go after a Marvin Bagley. I mean, there's some really good players available right now that the Spurs could go after. And we're going to get into some of that trade talk, but that just makes me think about Brian Wright. Does he have a plan? Does he know what he's doing? And guys, I'm going to be looking in the comments for this one because this is a big subject. If Brian Wright does not have a plan for the Spurs, we in trouble. We going to be horrible, Craig, for a long time. All right, but I'm going to leave Brian Wright alone because I don't want to make this the whole subject about destroying Brian Wright. Because I don't know if he's good or bad. We just got to find out. It just seems like at this point, that's about all I can say for him. All right, so as we get into the second half of the season, that leads us to the next question. The Spurs team record, will they fall into the play-in, playoff chances, or will they fall into the lottery side? And what's better for them? Now, that's a hard question to answer. It really depends on what they do at the trade deadline. If they go after a star and they're able to start rebuilding their team around that player with the help of the current youngsters they have, then you might actually make it to that playoff play-in tournament. However, if you stay the course as is, it seems like the Spurs are going to be around that 5th to 10th spot in the lottery. And that 5th to 10th spot really isn't the best spot. You want to be in those top 5 teams if you're going for a lottery pick. And that's why it goes back to Brian Wright. Do you got a plan? I mean, are we trying to win games and get popped the record and make the playoffs? Or are we trying to undercover tank and get a top draft pick? If you're trying to tank and get a draft pick, you're not doing the best job. If you're trying to win, you're doing a horrible job. So we leave it at that. I think the chances of the Spurs making the playoffs outright in the 6th seed have really passed them by. There was a point in the time I did think they could get there, but they were floating at close to 500 at that time and getting really close to that point. But at this time in the season, I think the more realistic bet is them trying to fight for that 10th spot. You know, you still get a decent draft pick, and you got that play-in tournament, and you never know what happens in the play-in game. You might win that play-in game and wind up making the playoffs. So that's how I see the Spurs finishing the season. Right above the lottery for a top 5 and right in the mix for a play-in game. I don't know if that's good for the Spurs or bad, but that's how I see them finishing. I must check in the comments to see how you guys think they finish as well, because this is just an interesting subject and the Spurs moving forward, especially with ESPN taking them off of a game, and they got Ja Morant. Ja Morant and Dejounte Murray, 2 of the best young point guards in the NBA, and you pull that for the Knicks? They better play Cam Reddish too. I want to see RJ Barrett and Cam Reddish in the game. But that's another subject, man. The last thing I want to get into is the San Antonio Spurs and the trade rumors and the trade that actually went through. Bryn Forbes was traded. The Spurs wound up picking up a 2028 second round pick. I'm pretty sure most of you guys have heard that. And Juancho Hernan-Gomez. Now, losing Bryn Forbes, a shooter, is not so much of a big thing for the Spurs if they're going for the lottery. If you're trying to make that play-in tournament, sometimes you do want that extra firepower. But Forbes is on a 1-year contract, and they're able to move him for a 2028 pick. I don't think that's a bad trade. I don't know if it's a good trade because Forbes actually chose to come back to San Antonio. I mean, he's got a lot of family and friends here, so it's kind of like a second home to him. So I don't know how that, if you alienate a player that way, Brian Wright, what you thinking? Did you talk to him before that? See if he's cool with going to a contender? Because he actually chose to come and play here. So that's an interesting tip or tidbit there. But there are some trades, rumors floating around, guys, right now. There's one about Kristaps Porzingis, and I kind of like this trade. We keep Dejounte Murray in this trade, so that's why I like it. I don't like trades where we be trading Dejounte Murray, man. I'm telling y'all. That kid is special. He's a triple-double, efficient triple-double waiting to happen that cares about playing defense. And he's light and fast. The man is fast. All right, so in this trade rumor, it's based around Derek White, Thaddeus Young, and Lonnie Walker. That's right, the Spurs would trade Derek White, Lonnie Walker, and Thaddeus Young for Kristaps Porzingis, Josh Green, and Moses Brown. So that's not a bad trade. That one's actually being brought to us by NBA Analysis Network, and they do pull up a lot of different trade scenarios and trades they think that could help both teams. So for this one, I like that. The Spurs will wind up with Kristaps Porzingis at forward and Jakob Poeltl at center. Ooh, you got the Twin Towers back. You got Dejounte Murray in there with Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell. That could be some lockdown defense. You got to keep Porzingis healthy, but the Spurs, you know, they got fined before for literally taking players that are healthy and saying, you ain't got to play this game. We're so good. We're going to the finals. We got championships to win. We'll take the fine. So if anybody could keep Porzingis healthy, I think the Spurs and their medical staff could do it. I actually like this trade. It's one of the few trades that I've seen online that I like for the Spurs. And the Dallas Mavericks, I see why they would do it. You get in Derek White, who could take some pressure off of Luka, and Thaddeus Young, who's also a versatile player. Lonnie Walker is that young gun off the bench to help get a few buckets here and there. And it's really just a throw in because they're losing Josh Green. Now, another trade I see floating around is focused on Brandon Ingram. And I will read this one to you guys, but man, let's get to it real quick. I don't know if the Pelicans are going to trade Brandon Ingram. I mean, but let's see what it's the same website, NBA Analysts. They got the Spurs giving up a lot, and that's why I say, man, I'm not trading Josh Primo. But they got the Spurs getting a nice return. Brandon Ingram and Jackson Hayes. Brandon Ingram's a forward. Jackson Hayes is a center. They got the Pelicans getting Derek White, Dougie McBuckets, Lonnie Walker, Josh Primo. I'm hanging up at that. A 2024 first round, I'm hanging up. And a 2026 first round, I'm hanging up. I'm sorry, if I'm Brian Wright, I'm hanging up. I'm hanging up. Ain't no way I'm pulling that trade. Brandon Ingram's a beast, and it'll be nice to pair him with Dejounte Murray. You got two players that could be a nice, formidable backcourt, but Josh Primo is 18, and the kid's got a lot of talent. Not doing it. I'm hanging it up. So those are the two biggest trades I see right now, guys, that there are reportedly for the Spurs. It seems that they were interested in Ben Simmons, but that has died down. I think Philadelphia wanting too much, and honestly, from what I've seen, man, they want a lot. They want James Harden. That's a lot. They're going to have to wait till next year for that one. So I'm not going to, we'll talk about Philly in another video, guys, and what they got going on. But there's one more trade rumor. This one is from about 5-6 days ago. And this is another good trade that I think Spurs might be able to make. And that's because they're taking on Danilo Gallinari, who's got a large contract. So, there's a lot of moving pieces in this one. But the Spurs get John Collins, and Danilo Gallinari for Derek White, Thaddeus Young, Lonnie Walker, Drew Eubanks. Make that call, get the deal done. Brian Wright, what are you waiting for? If that deal is on the table, that deal should have been done yesterday, pimpin'. What is you waiting for? What is you? John Collins is the perfect power forward, the pair next to Jakob Poeltl, inside, outside, uber efficient. The man gets 12 shots a game, 12 shot attempts total, and he's averaging almost 20 points a game. The dude is a walking double-double. He plays defense. He's a high-flying three-point shooting beast. Yeah, make that trade. What you waiting for? Buy Derek White, buy Thaddeus Young, Lonnie Walker, you're on a contract here. You gotta go, man. Drew Eubanks, you cool. I love them dunks. I love that hustle. But for John Collins, you gotta go. Brian Wright, make the call. If it's not on the table, I give you a pass. But if this trade is on the table, man, that's why I brought it back up, guys. There's no way you can pass up on this trade. But that's what we got for you guys today. Really want to see how everybody feels. I am moving this party. Uh-oh. The beep, 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 beep. Oh, it's coming back. The beep, 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 beep. And that is somebody outside in a moving truck, guys. But that's all we got. I'm going to check the comments to see how everybody feels about the San Antonio Spurs and their midseason outlook. Your boy out. Peace.